YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, back in Total War Rome 2 with another online battle, and this one is going to be the Battle of Carthago. I'm playing as the Getae versus Rome, and I think the Roman player made an interesting choice here. Roman infantry is actually quite strong, and he's tanked up on 8 of them, plus 2 spearmen for support. He's got 2 levies for support and essentially cav fights or infantry. They're actually not a bad unit if used properly. And anyway, he's got 4 Equitae cav units as well. Let's look at mine. I'll go over his army a little more. I've got mercenary axe warriors intermixed with noble swords, and then on the far flank I have falxmen, who are not going to be very good infantry units, but they would be okay against, like, not good against charging cav, but good against, good at supporting against cav. And they would also be good against supporting against enemy spear units that are out on the flank. So that's why I brought them. I've got 4 Dacian bowmen, not the heavy variety, just the standard ones. The heavy variety have decent armor, which is going to make them a little more survivable. 4 spear horsemen and 4 noble horsemen. And I noticed that when I charged up to the top, I saw the Roman Equites and the rest of his army just briefly. So the Roman looks like he's deciding not to challenge me for the hill. So I'm going to go ahead and capture the hill. And let's go down to General Cam for a moment. And we'll watch my general moving his way up to the top of the hill, and we should make the enemy units visible. Making my guys walk through my own horsemen. Watch out for the horse plop, men. Watch out for the horse plop. You don't want your shoes dirty going into a fight. Anyway, so my men make it to the top of the hill, and out in the distance you can see the Roman army. So my opponent has a great deal of legionaries. I want to say he's got 3 Avocati cohort, an Eagle cohort, and 4 legionary cohorts, supported by 2 auxiliary infantry. And then he's got, yeah, the 3 Syrian archers, 2 levies, and 4 Equitae cavalry. So I think my opponent realizes here that Romans aren't really going to have good cav, and so there's no reason for him to bring expensive Roman cav. He's just going to bring more infantry and hope to beat me down in an infantry fight, which is not a bad plan. Infantry is not really a strength of the Getae. These noble swordsmen are quite good units, but they're not very good. Well, they're quite good units. They're expensive. You can't bring too many of them. And axe warriors are probably inferior to Roman units. Falxmen are certainly inferior to Roman units. They're only good in a rear charge or a flank charge. And like I said, just as support units. So anyway, I'm going to come back out of this view and kind of show you the overhead. My opponent did not want to fight me on this hill. Let me get this all set up here. Yeah, so my opponent did not want to fight me while I had the hill, so he's pulling back and kiting me backwards, which he can do because he has superior skirmishing forces. I do outnumber him with archers, but his Syrian archers are definitely superior. He moves all his cav to one flank, so I take all of my spear horsemen to this flank, and I'm going to work my shot cavalry to this flank. I don't mind engaging my opponent in an open infantry fight, because I'm hoping to swing cavalry in for a rear charge, especially if my opponent groups all of his on one flank, but no doubt he's going to try and support with these auxiliary infantry, and he's probably going to keep some cohorts in reserve. Roman infantry is quite good. Yeah, you can see my problem here. His levies are up front to soak up some shots. He has longer range with his Syrian archers, so my archers are going to be at an inferior range, and they have inferior armor, so even that one quick volley killed 5 of those bowmen. So I mean, it's going to be a quick death for my archers. Now I kill a bunch of his levies, which is fine, but it's not a great trade because they're cheap. My opponent brings some cav charges up the center. I'm going to counter him with my spear horsemen to keep him away from my archers. And then he's going to pull back with his levies and move his infantry forward to probably try and engage and kill my cavalry here. So I see what he's doing, though. He's trying to draw my horsemen in and destroy them with his infantry. Not a bad plan for him. But I'm going to go ahead and pull my infantry forward to counter his small force. And then I'm going to pull my spear horsemen out back behind my infantry line. This potentially gives my my infantry a great charge against his Romans. So he's going to do the smart thing and pull back. Stay away from this fight. He doesn't want to get overwhelmed. Now over here, he does have his cav, but he did not. He should have maintained control of this hill right here to keep me from being able to do this. So I'm actually going to swing up onto the hill and be able to threaten my opponent from the top of it. And then I can also threaten these auxiliary infantry with these falxmen. So right here I'm gaining a superior position for my cavalry, and they're about on the same level as his Equites as far as cav fight goes. Equites might be better, it's hard to say. Anyway, I'm going to keep pushing my infantry. I need an engagement with him. I can't sit around and let him skirmish me to death. Here I'm going to go ahead and engage one of my cavalrymen against his Equites. That might have actually been even ground charge, maybe even a little bit better for him. This one gets a nice downhill charge, though. But see how he bunches all his cavalry and the spearmen and a legionnaire, or an Evocati cohort. So he has just really put a lot of resources into this fight. So this gives me a good opportunity to charge him and sneak my shot cav into his back lines. So this is going to be really nice for me here. It was tempting to swing in here and charge these guys real quick, but the Pila from these legionnaires would have hurt my cavalry. Anyway, over here I get a mercenary axe warrior charging into his cohorts, and then again I'm going to send these falxmen up the hill to support there. My noble swords are going to get really nice charges into his legionary cohorts, and then my mercenary axe warriors are trading javelins with his legionary cohort here. Just got a last second charge, and then I'm going to get a last second charge here too, and that's going to crush that auxiliary infantry, and then I'm going to chase these guys out for now. So yeah, look at my falxmen. My falxmen came in here and wrecked this auxiliary infantry pretty quick, and then my cavalry, most of them got free again. This one's getting beat down, and I should have pulled back here. But yeah, I've got cavalry free, and then he has committed, again, 2 more infantry units and 2 more cav units. So I'm going to go ahead and slip this cav back this way, and then just keep pulling this one back. So I'm going to keep trying to split my opponent. His legionaries are actually getting beaten quite badly by my noble swords, which was expected. And he's just sitting here throwing javelins with his Evocati cohort rather than pinning my guys down, which I think he should have done. And so here comes my cavalry. I'm going to get into Assyrian archers, which is an expensive unit for my opponent. And I've also gotten these Syrian archers, and then I'm going to pull a back charge in here. Kill even more of Assyrian archers. So my opponent now has lost all of Assyrian archers. I've paid a pretty big penalty with cav, unfortunately. But it has helped my opponent had to split up his troops. And his men are not doing as well as he'd probably hope in this infantry fight. My mercenary axe warriors are actually doing very well. This legionary cohort is suffering from morale penalties for some reason. They're exhausted. Interesting. And then I line up a nice rear charge here with some infantry, so I'll let you watch that. So, mercenary axe warriors coming into the back of these legions. That's not going to be a good thing for them. So, those guys are going to eat it, and that's a legionary cohort. Here, an Evocati cohort has engaged my noble swords. But I'm going to go ahead and finish off this legionary cohort, get another rear charge here. And my opponent does get cav into my archers, and I forgot I had this cav unit here. I will bring it in eventually, though. He's going to kill a few of my archers. But his archers and levies are all dead, and his general is now wavering. Fortunately for him, though, it's stabilized right there, strangely enough. I guess most of his his general unit was way back here. Some of it was all the way over here. Don't know what that was all about. But yeah, his general stabilized. But I've still got this noble horseman that got quite a few kills. And my mercenary axe warriors over here holding off an Evocati cohort won't last forever. But his general was able to get over here and drop some general abilities on his troops. For the most part, though, the fight is going pretty well for me. It's relatively close, but I've got my opponent wrapped up in a lot of places, and he's losing his last remnants of cavalry, and I have a couple of archer units left. So it's going to be good for me. And when this cav unit's finished here, I'm going to bring it after this levy unit. But yeah, Roman just lost another cavalry unit. He's about to lose this Equite here as well, but he did reinforce with an Evocati cohort. But his Evocati cohort here is not making a whole lot of progress versus my noble swords. I've got 2 noble sword units after it, and I'm going to reinforce with another mercenary axe warrior and then swing around with this mercenary axe warrior. So I've got his Evocati cohort pinned as well. Actually, I may swing this one in here. I can't remember what I do. Or bring it in here. Yeah, actually that's what I'm going to do. So it looks like I'm going to end up attacking his auxiliary infantry. My opponent still has a number of cohorts left, though, but I have a cavalry unit left, which is killing his levies. His legatus is still alive, only has 10 men, so now it comes down to an infantry slugfest. And Rome actually typically does very well at this type of fight. But you can see my opponent's actually having a hard time getting around my flank because he has to worry about these Dacian bowmen. But then he decides, hey, I'm probably not going to worry about the Dacian bowmen. He's going to try and bring these guys back to protect against rear charges. So see how he's chasing my cavalry? He really needed to get an outflanking maneuver. And then when I saw the Evocati cohort start to slip on its morale, I popped them with flaming arrows and made them waver. So I've got his guys into a waver. And my morale is just doing better than his because I have so many noble sword units still in the field that are inspiring my men. Plus my general is still alive. So yeah, I'm able to charge into the next Evocati cohort, and I should try and swing around. And then again, I've got another cavalry harassment going on over here. So I bring these cavalry into the back of this Evocati cohort. So I have a noble sword pinned in between a legionary cohort and an Evocati cohort, and this one's actually routing, or almost routing. But yeah, that one Evocati cohort did get routed due to the flaming arrows. And then I'm going to use my general to charge into this eagle cohort, and I'm going to keep these mercenary axe warriors here, and then swing around with these noble swords. I did save some of my abilities for the end of this fight. The Roman general just used his raised banner and rally. That's going to help his Roman troops. But his men are decisively losing certain engagements, and I'm popping flaming arrows in at opportune moments. So my 2 archers aren't getting a ton of kills, but they're causing huge morale damage. Look, 100 eagle cohort left, and they're wavering. And it's because they're... look at that huge roll right there. Huge roll from the archers. Clutched it out, shattered 100 eagle cohort, and then left that Evocati there to fight alone. So again, the archer's making a big difference. He uses his legatus to try and chase away the remnant of my archers, but I was able to shoot at them and kill a bunch of their men, and there's only one man left in his legatus unit, and it flees, so now his general is gone. And now my archers can continue to do what they were doing, which is pop some flaming arrows in here and speed along the death throw for these Evocati cohort, which otherwise would have a decent potential to try and fight their way out of this. I would say decent. I don't think they would actually be able to do it. Yeah. Worked out really nice for me here. I'm going to cycle my spear horsemen around for another charge real quick, but the flaming arrows ended up clutching it out for me here. So the Getae infantry holding up much stronger than I thought they would. I did expect a lot out of the noble swords, and they delivered. And it's probably because their melee defense is so high. They have really high melee defense, and Roman units don't have particularly high melee defense. They have very good attack, they have very good armor and morale, but their melee defense is not that good. So what that means is that even though the Romans have high attack, my men are pretty good at dodging their attacks. Plus, my men are going to easily win on the charge. Noble swords have a decimating charge, and they have headhunt, which makes them a pretty dangerous unit. I put my general in one of those noble sword units rather than a horse unit, because typically it's a safer place for a barbarian general. And sure enough, it ended up working out, because if I would have lost my general in one of those cav units, it would have been bad. Plus, my general was nearby a lot of the other troops and able to support them. It was a Pyrrhic victory. Very fun battle. I think that the Romans' army was not poorly chosen. I actually think it was pretty well chosen. Their infantry's good, and he focused on it. He used a skirmishing... Well, he had a skirmishing advantage. He just wasn't able to use it because I was able to get my cav through some of the gaps. Fun map, fun terrain. Good job by my opponent of not attacking uphill, falling back to what he thought was a better position, trying to support his cav with his infantry. In the end, I was just able to pick up the victory there. It was a fun fight, really nice matchup, and I was actually, like I said, happily pleased with the Getae infantry's ability to hang on there in that fight, and I like some of the tools they have. Definitely a fun faction. Anyway, HeirofCarthage, signing off for now. Hope you all enjoyed that. Great game to my opponent.